This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
The views conveyed by the guests on this program do not necessarily represent the views of the host or owners of the Doggy Diva Show and do not necessarily constitute endorsement of products. Medical information shared by the guests on this program are those of the guests and are for informational purposes only. They should not replace the medical advice of your veterinarian.
Hi, this is Susan Marie from the Doggy Diva Show. In this episode, we learn the benefits of basic training for our pups, increasing your pup's confidence and sociability. That's what's on our show, so let's get started.
Come here, babies. It's time for a treat, the Doggy Diva Show. Here's national award-winning author and animal advocate, Susan Marie.
Hi, welcome to the Doggy Diva Show, the show for animal lovers. I'm your host, Susan Marie, and as always, I'm joined by my canine co-hosts, the Doggy Divas themselves. Thank you for joining us today as we bring you the experts in the pet and animal world right to you. Contact us at thedoggydiva.com. That's the DOGGYDIVA.com. We love hearing from you, so go grab a cup of coffee and your pet's favorite treat, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You know the expression, cats have 9 lives. Well, what if you can give them one more? The Give Them 10 movement is on a mission to help give cats an extra life. How? With spay and neuter. Spaying or neutering your cat helps them live a longer, healthier life. And it helps control free-roaming cat populations too. Learn more about the benefits of spay and neuter and meet Scooter, the neutered cat, at GiveThem10.org. That's GiveThem10.org.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva Show. We have a fun and educational show for you today about something both our beloved fur kids and us as pet parents can benefit from. We welcome Colleen Gray back to the show to share her journey over the past 20 years, working closely with her dogs, taking them from puppy classes to intermediate classes, earning all of her beloved pups AKC Canine Good Citizen, and having a lot of fun and bonding time along the way. So welcome back to the show, Colleen.
Hello, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
You are truly the ultimate dog mom who has learned how to balance valued training and education with fun. So how about this? How about if we start? Because this show's all on the basics of training. So how about if we start with what are the benefits of basic training?
There are so many benefits. We'll just kind of go through kind of the highlights, but there are so many benefits. The first one that comes to mind is training your dog builds up confidence in your dog. So when you train your dog using positive reinforcement, it teaches them that making decisions and engaging with you and the environment earns them good things like treats and praise. Your dog will then be more open to new experiences as they are positive and rewarding. Another benefit is that you'll create a stronger bond between you and your dog. So as you spend time together, you create boundaries, learn about each other, and share positive experiences, which will build a trusting, respectful bond that will truly last a lifetime. You'll also have a companion that you'll be able to trust since you've spent time ensuring that they behave appropriately.
And can we just chat really quickly about the bonding experience through training? Because I think that's so important.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of hard to put into words. So the closeness that develops through mostly the nonverbal communication and the fun that we enjoy together because of our training is really, really special. And it's hard to describe and really hard to put into words. And some of the quality of life benefits for us as pet parents and our dogs as a result of training is it's really hard to describe, and it's really, really special. So you'll kind of see it as you evolve through your training process from the wild child to the good citizen. But the bonding is truly, truly amazing.
how working on training your dog, how does it help to reduce like unwanted and sometimes unpleasant behavior?
Mhm. Yeah, so working on your training, in doing that, you do reduce unwanted or unpleasant behavior. Since you and your dog will have a better bond and know how to communicate with each other, it's easier to set boundaries for what is and isn't allowed. So regular training sessions work your dog physically and mentally in a positive way, providing stimulation and attention, which helps to prevent behavior concerns. Also, with proper training, you'll increase your pup's sociability. As your dog learns boundaries and how to behave appropriately in social settings, other people and dogs will feel more comfortable as well, and this will result in more positive experiences for you and your dog.
Can you share for a minute how, well, I'll say a well-behaved dog is more welcome, like in social settings?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I found that our dogs, after we've worked with them, are welcomed in, for instance, dog-friendly restaurants, even dog-friendly hotels, and also just hanging out with friends since they're well-behaved. It takes time, but eventually the patience and hard work pays off. And as I mentioned before, it's a really rewarding experience to witness the transformation from your wild child puppy or your wild child adult dog, if you adopt a dog when they're older, to a truly good citizen. And it just takes some time and patience and a little bit of structure with training.
You know, Colleen, one of the things that you do, and I'm not sure if it's done throughout the country, but I know that some of the places near us do this. You actually do a mall walking class. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know that you're sending me the little videos of Cisco. He is really doing well and thriving.
He is. He really enjoys it. He's one of those who's still a bit of a wild child. He's a young Sheltie, and we're working on really getting back to the basics. So he progressed really well from his puppy class into his intermediate and earned his canine good citizen. And then I found as he became kind of an adolescent, he would get really excited around other dogs and bounce around and all that. And it was kind of that unwanted behavior. So I took him way back to the basics, and we're taking a beginner obedience class right now, which is super fun. Most of the classes have dogs that are half his age or less. And one of the components is about once a month, we go to our local shopping center, and it's really nice. It's indoors, and we meet as a group and we walk nicely through the shopping center. So we start out and kind of meet up and do a little bit of freshening up on our obedience. We have them sit and lie down and just kind of get their attention. And then we break out our treats, and then we walk nicely together. The first time we did it was a little bit challenging, but even that first time, over time, we were able to kind of get a little bit of traction back to our basics. And about 75% of that mall walk was really, really good. I didn't think it was going to be that good, but it did end up really, really good. And he was really well behaved. And then the next few times we walked, he was really good almost from the start. So, you know, I have, again, my bouncy teenager is really kind of coming around, and those mall walks really help.
That's great. And he's so cute. He like bounces around. He's the happiest little dog I've ever seen. Now, one of the things, and you know, we talk about the disciplines and things like that, but one of the things is how having your dog trained or properly trained or being able to, you know, be trained on command increases safety. Can you explain that?
Yeah, truly ensuring your pet listens to your cues can prevent it from experiencing potential conflict with other dogs or animals, running into a busy road, or generally harming itself in hazardous situations. Also, you'll probably learn how to better understand your dog and be able to prevent future concerns such as resource guarding. So again, kind of that whole process of that, you know, deeper communication can develop into a really good safety foundation, and it really helps with safety.
You mentioned resource guarding, and I think that sometimes when we adopt animals, or maybe there are some issues there that people think, oh no, And sometimes it's just resource guarding. Could you just explain what resource guarding is so people understand it and how actually the training helps to benefit it, basic training?
Yep, absolutely. So there's all kinds of resource guarding. One of the most typical resource guarding is with food. So if your dog is eating their food and either another dog or you goes over to take their food or move their food bowl, just very, in a very simple way. If you have a dog that is a resource guarder, it can be a real problem. They can growl or snap or, things like that, which is not great behavior with us, other dogs or other people. So working with your dog and practicing, giving them a bone and taking it away and then giving them a treat, giving them their bowl and then taking it away slightly and giving it a treat. Just letting them know that if I move your bowl or I take your bone or whatever it might be that you're guarding, if I take it, I'm going to give it back to you. And it's really going to be a good experience. That repetition will really ease up any resource guarding situations. If you have a dog that's kind of a dangerous resource guarder, you probably would want to bring in, behaviorist or something of that nature. But if you work with them when they're younger and you start working on that resource guarding right out of the gate, it's really helpful so that they don't see, you're removing anything that they really want to keep as a problem in their mind.
Thanks for explaining that. And I think that's really important for households that have multiple pets, because sometimes that's what we encounter. And it is this resource guarding. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're the resource and they're guarding you. With proper training, how does it make it easier, or not only easier for the pet parent, but easier for your dog when you're working with, let's say, pet professionals?
Yes, it can make a huge difference when working with a groomer or a veterinarian. So dogs whose owners have worked on handling exercises and training usually have better vet and grooming visits, which makes the experience better for both the groomer or the vet and your pet. So, just doing things like getting them used to being handled, touching their feet, touching their toes, petting them, having other people like friends or, people that they know or that they don't know, just come over and pet them and handle them and maybe run a brush over them really gently, and doing it kind of in baby steps so that they're desensitized. And again, you can bring in the positive reinforcement and give them a cookie and give them lots of praise. But a dog that has that kind of desensitizing and also, just kind of a good experience with being handled, it usually very much translates into better visits with professionals. And that can make all the difference when, especially if your dog is sick or hurting, with a veterinarian or other professional, it really, really helps.
That's so important. And I think sometimes we don't even think about that. I never encountered it until recently with one of my dogs. I'd never had any, they're all pretty compliant. And then we had one, she's a little resistant, a little quirky, mm-hmm. But we work with it. We have our groomer work with it. Our vet works with it. Anyone who we encounter works with it. And she's a good dog. She just is quirky. Mm-hmm. And you've encountered it when you've been here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's very important to be able to work with them so that they can visit pet professionals and not be so anxious. Now, we've talked about this, we've touched on it, but what are the different classes that you have each of your pups attending? And I have to tell you, you do send me little videos of them. They love it. So can you tell us about their classes and can tell us how much they love it?
We have a blast.
You do.
So for the past 20 plus years, all 7 of my dogs and I have taken, as I mentioned before, foundation obedience classes from puppy to beginner to intermediate, and all earn their Canine Good Citizen, again, as I had mentioned earlier, the CGC. And we've had a lot of fun along the way. So the CGC, it's a program through the American Kennel Club, doesn't have anything to do with the dog being pedigreed or anything of that nature. It's just a certification program that evaluates a dog's good manners and teaches responsible ownership practices to their parents. And it's a very worthwhile program. Any dog can participate. It's a wonderful, the training leading up to the CGC is a lot of fun. And if you go on the AKC website, it kind of goes through the different, they call them stations. I believe there's 10 or 12 things that you need to do to earn your CGC. And some of the things are being quiet with being brushed, being quiet and well-behaved when a stranger comes up and shakes their pet parent's hand. Just little things like that, which again goes back to that veterinarian and grooming situation. And then also being around other dogs. They need to behave well in a crowd, those sorts of things. So anyway, take a look at that on the AKC website. It's a really fun program. So definitely worth checking out. And then once we get the basics down, each of my dogs has enjoyed training in some type of sport. So these are usually the videos that I share with you. And we love it. So over the years, we've taken several classes in agility, years of training in agility, sheep herding, rally obedience we're doing right now, tracking we're doing right now, and we really do have a lot of fun. And we've also met some of the nicest people and dogs along the way. I've met some wonderful friends, and we go to the beach together, and, we have play dates together. And then, when we see them in class, it's a lot of fun, a lot of really, really neat people. So currently, Keegan the Corgi is taking beginner rally classes. We're just about to move up to intermediate. Callie the Corgi just started her 3rd year of tracking. And Cisco the Sheltie, we're bringing back to basics a little bit. And he's doing those back to the foundation classes and the mall walking. Again, just trying to harness some of his enthusiasm, but we're making progress.
You are. And for those people that are not familiar, and this is Kiki the Corgi, these are the 2 Corgis that you have. What is a rally class?
Rally's a lot of fun. So it's a type of obedience. So I'm not a big competitive obedience person. I'll never be out there in a competitive ring showing how amazingly obedient my dog is in a really structured environment. But rally obedience it's kind of a fun obedience. It's almost like agility without the jumps. And they set up a course. So your instructor will set up a course. So things like left turn, right turn, about turn. We do serpentines. We do little figure 8s. In the higher level classes, there might be one little jump. It's just an awful lot of fun. And you can, you do have to have a bit of a foundation because they need to be able to do the basics like sit and lay down and come and those sorts of things. But, the young dogs can do it. My dog who had degenerative myelopathy, Scooter, actually did rally in his cart.
In his little wheelchair, yeah.
And he loved it. So it's a lot of fun. That's probably my favorite sport. And again, it's obedience, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, highly recommend.
We have to talk about my girl, Callie. Callie's also a Corgi. She's my niece, and she's very, very confident. Now, she just started her 3rd year of tracking, which I'm going to ask you what that is. But I remember when you had sent me these pictures of her in her glory, herding sheep. Can you tell us a little bit about, number one, how you got into it? Because Corgis are herders.
Yes.
And then you evolved into the tracking, which she's very good at. And, but can you tell us a little bit about how she sort of evolved?
So Corgis are natural. They're herding dogs by nature. And so typically, if you have a herding dog or herding breed, you can do a herding instinct test. So usually a breed club or, a local group that has herding at their facility and gives herding lessons, they'll give herding instinct tests. Some Corgis have no interest in herding anything. German Shepherds, kind of the same thing. Malinois, et cetera, Shelties. But if they have the instinct, it is amazing. They just know what to do. So you'll put them in a pen with sheep and they just know what to do instinctually. So you have to see if they're interested. If they are interested, you can actually take lessons, and it's an official AKC sport. So you can hone your skills in herding sheep. There's cattle, and ducks. I believe those are kind of the 3 main kind of livestock type creatures that are part of the herding sport. And it's really, if you see a dog that is truly well trained and is really on their game with herding. And usually it's the border collies. They're just usually off the charts. It's amazing to watch. But with Callie, we took a couple of years of herding. I think we did it probably for about 2 years. And she was amazing. She was 100 times better than I was. And she, we progressed along the ranks. And Callie doesn't do anything halfway. So she would be out there and she'd be, stopping hard and turning hard and running hard, and everything she did is extreme. And she actually has an incongruent elbow, which is just something that she was born with. So we, unfortunately, because she can't do anything halfway, she was going to hurt herself. So we had to rethink things. So, as she got a little older, and so I do with her now. We don't do the herding anymore, but we do tracking, and she also does rally. But the tracking is something that we've really pursued over the last couple of years. And it's kind of like the beginning stages of, I think, the search and rescue dogs.
Search and rescue, yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of the baby step into the super advanced.
But she doesn't know it's a baby step.
She doesn't know. She thinks she's, she's all that.
Full on. Yeah.
But it's really neat. Our instructor will go down, and it's what is called laying a track. She'll get out there before we do, and she will lay a track. So she'll walk, and she will leave her scent just by walking. And there'll be, and at the end of the track, and there are turns, and, we'll walk around trees and all kinds of things. And then she'll leave a leather glove at the end of the track. And the goal is to have the dog start the starting point. There's a little flag, and then we'll go, it could be 2 minutes. And we have to go from start to finish and follow the instructor's track to get to the leather glove. It's so fun. And she can't hurt herself.
And she loves it.
She loves it.
She's very into it. Now, years ago when you had come on the show as a guest, and it was when Callie first started her sheep herding class, and we talked about it. And I think I told you that I had, because the show's heard nationwide, and that I had people contacting me from all over the country asking how they could get their dog into a sheep herding class. So it's just, these are things that are a little nuanced. We've talked about the basic obedience training. We talked about rally training, but things like the sheep herding and the tracking are a little different and sometimes unique to the breed of dog. So I think that that's wonderful that you brought that into this conversation, because I think it's very interesting. And you know what, Colleen, you have made throughout the years lifelong friends through basic obedience classes, the rally classes. I know you did agility years ago with your pups, and, and then with Callie, of course, with her sheep herding and now her tracking. But you've made lifelong friends. Can you tell us the importance of being a part of this and being a part of this with like-minded people who thoroughly enjoy doing this with their dogs?
So the real base of all this is the love of our animals and animal welfare, and doing the best we can in the animal community to just kind of lift up the animal community. So maybe for people who are just, bringing a dog into their family for the first time, up to cheering our friends on who are, I have one friend who she has competed in Europe in agility. She's off the charts, but she is just every bit as down to earth and kind and helpful with everybody as anybody else. So it's really meaningful, and again, to see over the years having a dog from, a puppy, or whenever you bring the dog into your family, into their elderly years, and just have all that really, really special time with them. It's just, as I mentioned earlier, it's just really hard to put into words, and experiencing that with people that you see. I'm a member of an obedience club, and I've been friends with these people for, since 2000. That's when I first started training with them. And it's really, really beautiful. And, the type of people who are attracted to this kind of activity, just really want to build that bond with their animals. And it's just really beautiful. Even like I'm not very good and my dogs are a lot better than I am, but I don't really do it to be the best obedience trainer or for my dogs to be the most perfect dogs, in the neighborhood. I want them to be well behaved, but I also want them to have fun. It's more about the experience and the people and my dogs spending time with other dogs and other kind people. That's really the most important thing. So yeah, so for us and probably a lot of other people, that's really what it comes down to. It's really, really special.
Well, I'm going to give you props. Well, why don't we take a quick break? And then when we come back, Colleen's going to share a valuable, quick tip and command with us. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Hello, everyone. Susan Marie here to tell you about the award-winning 3-book series, The Doggy Diva Diaries. It is a trilogy of heartwarming and inspirational stories about Miss Olive, a lonely little rescue pup, hoping to find her forever family and friends and a life filled with love. In this series, Miss Olive learns that it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it's the kindness and love you have on the inside that counts. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. And please visit us at thedoggydiva.com for more information. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to the show. I am here with Colleen Gray, and she is sharing the basics of dog training with us. Can you tell us about the shaker?
Absolutely. I love this. Out of all the little tips that you learn along the way, this is my favorite. So it's teaching the come command using a shaker. So I love this. We have a shaker in our kitchen, in our car, and it's amazing how they listen when they hear food. So that's what this is kind of about. So anyway, teaching the come using a shaker. So make a shaker by putting some kibble or hard treats into a small container. So those little itty bitty Tupperwares, little plastic things, you can just put, a little handful of treats in there. Just be kibble or treats. Doesn't really matter what it is. And then close it up. So make 3 or 4 shakers. As I mentioned to you, we have one in our kitchen and I have one in the car. Another idea is to have one for each door to the outside. And you can just use these to practice with and maybe even leave there, which I've kind of done. So the first day or two, when you're starting to do this with your dog sitting in front of you, have the shaker in one hand and some good treats in the other hand, like really, really good treats. Break out the good ones. I sometimes have steak or little pieces of chicken breast. So you really get their attention. So you shake the shaker and then pop a treat into your pup's mouth. You're building an equation in your dog's mind. The sound of the shaker equals this yummy treat. So practice this 4 or 5 times and then quit the session for the day and come back the next day or maybe later in the day to do it again. Keep this fun, use a happy tone of voice, and really, really great treats. So after 2 or 3 days of this training, add the word come. Again, start with your dog sitting in front of you, shake this shaker and say, Cisco, come, or Sweetie, come, or whatever your dog's name is, come, and pop a treat in their mouth. At this point, your dog is not moving, just sitting in front of you. So it's still super basic. So you're adding to the equation, the sound of the shaker equals the word come, which equals the treat popped in his mouth. Practice this for several days, 2 or 3 times per session, and you'd be amazed at the outcome. Right now, I get up really, really early in the morning and we live in a development. So It's hard for me to be calling my dogs in the morning. They go outside and sniff around and when it's time for them to come in, rather than me calling them, I use the shaker. And as soon as they hear the shaker, they come running. So that's like just one instance where, I'm able to really get their attention without even saying their names or even the word come after they've gotten conditioned to equating that sound with something really, really good. And I still give them a reward as soon as they come in the house, even though we've done this tons of times, I still always give them a treat to reinforce it. So I've found it to be a really effective command and kind of a fun thing to work on with your dog. And it can make a big difference if your dog darts out the front door or does something where you really need to get their attention. This could be something that could really help you. And it could really, save a really tough situation if you really need to get their attention. So great one to teach.
And it's so simple. I mean, it's interesting. You talk about how you have them. Like, I have a table at my front door with a huge bouquet of flowers in it, but I have like my little treat shaker. And then near the garage door, I do, because I have one of my girls who, when John comes in, the door opens and that's like they want to go out. So they come back, because I live in a neighborhood where the houses are relatively close together. Mm-hmm. And the same thing at the back door. Like, we get up very early and we also take our dogs out very late. You can't be screaming their names. So that works so well. And it's so easy. It's so easy. And we have hard treats in ours, but I mean, it's the little shaker that catches their attention. And it's amazing how, when there's treats involved, how you could just get all their attention very quickly.
And it's fun.
It is. And that's what, when I opened up, I said that the show would be educational, because you brought a lot in as far as like obedience and, some of the fun things like the herding, the rally, the tracking. But I mean, it's all you're building skills, but at the same time, you're having fun. And I think that helps to, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're going to agree with me. That helps to build that bond with your dog so that there's like an implicit, like a trust there.
100%. And that, again, that's kind of another one of the main goals, is just building the communication, building the bond, having fun. And it just, I don't know, it makes for I found a more special, deeper relationship with my dog having engaged in the training. I know a lot of people might think of training as boring or, doing drills or something like that. It really is what you make it. And it really can be a lot of fun.
And just as a side note, I want to go back to this, because a lot of times people are saying, oh, I wish I could meet people or friends or like-minded people. And you could go to dog parks and you could, different things where dogs can socialize. But I believe that sometimes if you go to these training classes and again, whatever you make of them is what they are. And you can meet a lot of like-minded people. I go back to you having these friends that you have been friends with for years and years and years. And you've all evolved with, your dogs have aged out, but they're still getting newer dogs and they're going to the classes. It's kind of like a lifestyle. And I commend you for it. You're very dedicated to it. And I know that you and David have a lot of fun doing it with the dogs.
We do. And if you want to find a group or a really good trainer, again, there are wonderful people in the community who would really love to help you out. So if you have a friend who you see or have heard does these sorts of activities, you could ask them. You can talk to your veterinarian, is another great person to talk to. Also, you could Google just go on your search engine and look for your local obedience club. There are obedience clubs all over the country. And I believe you could also even maybe find groups through the AKC if you go on the American Kennel Club site. But most people would have a group similar to the one that I'm a part of in their community. It might be a little bit of a drive. It might be right next door, but they're out there and they're just really wonderful people and really fun dogs out there to spend time with.
Well, Colleen, thank you so much for sharing your training experiences and the benefits of basic training for our fur kids and the importance of our dogs learning boundaries, and how training can help them behave appropriately in social settings where other people are, where other pet parents are, and other dogs are, so that everybody's comfortable and your dogs are well trained and acclimated. So kind of this whole thing creates a positive experience for pet parents, for the dogs, for people surrounding around us. And I think that that's ideal. What a perfect world. I love that. So thank you very much for sharing all of these great tips and fun experiences. This is really great. Thank you so, so much.
Well, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
We would like to thank our guests this week. And also, as our Doggy Divas always say, please love your pets because they love you unconditionally. And please remember to adopt, foster, spay, neuter, and microchip. And as always, please have a great Diva week, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Doggy Diva Show. To find out more about Susan Marie and the Doggy Divas, visit them at their website, thedoggydiva.com, and on Facebook at The Doggy Diva Show. Tell your fellow pet parents about it. We look forward to having you join us again for the next episode. See you soon.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.